we need to do more than just the message. We need to act. And the foundation is the only one that's been acting. Here is something to consider. While our brothers are focused on casting doubt on my integrity and reputation and destroying the foundation, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council remains a name and a logo only. My sources tell me that there is no organizational structure, no financial stream, no representatives, no defined and established policy goals and objectives. That's where their focus should be. And by the way, the task force is still waiting to become a viable and influential organization. The foundation is the only organization that presents a challenge to the government. It has been said, idle hands are the devil's workshop. My brothers, stop being idle. There is much work to be done for and on behalf of the people of Jamaica. Collectively, we may not collaborate, but we, all of us, remain firmly united in the single-minded purpose of holding governments accountable. Brothers, the Jamaican people are depending on us. Let's get busy. That's my opening. And then from the opening, I'm going to segue to talking about the people that I've been associated with. But I'm going to yield that because I want you to understand the psyche. I want you to understand the mentality, not just the action. I want you to understand the thinking, the process, and whether or not some people are of sound mind or they're just devious.
And that we shall surely do as we segue from Wilfred Rattigan's narrative of events to listen in a short while to the responses from Herb Nelson as well as Captain Rupert Francis. We need to get their side of the story. It is only fair. But before I do, let me give you my customary welcome. Welcome, everybody. This is Jamaica 411. Thank you so much for stopping by, keeping me company as usual. Thank you so much for sharing the video. I know you do, and that's why we're getting our message out. I also appreciate it when you leave your comments. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And for my subscribers and my regular viewers, welcome back to the channel. Now, let me get on with it because you're going to be very surprised at what you'll be hearing next. At the beginning of this video, you would recall hearing Mr. Rattigan speaking about the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council. That is the Diaspora Council they took away from the government and registered it. You remember that? Yes. And he had this to say. He said the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council remains a name and logo only. My sources tell me that there is no organizational structure, no financial stream, no representatives, no defined established policy goals and objectives. That's where their focus should be. And by the way, the task force is still waiting to become a viable and influential organization, right? The foundation, he says, it's the only his foundation, which is the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, is the only organization that presents a challenge to the government. So you heard him. They have no organizational structure, no financial stream, no representatives, no defined established policy goals and objectives. I am going to now let you hear a clip from a program, a podcast called Sutherland TV. Sutherland TV with host Dennis Sutherland. And there you will hear both Herb and Captain Francis responding to these allegations and these comments by Wilfred Rattigan. And I'm going to let you listen to this one and hear what they had to say about it. Just listen.
Don't really want to put you on the spot by asking about it, but a protest that has call to action fees on it be organized by one person. That makes any sense.
Well, remember, Mr. Rattigan said that he had left the call to action group. So if you had left the call to action group, then you could not be representing the call to action. Okay? So therein might lie the mix-up. But, you know, so Mr. Rattigan chose to go the way he wished to go. And let me give you a little synopsis.
Okay.
To just clarify certain things, he decided that he wanted to go to support Wayne Lonesome, I think his name is, yes, out of Canada. And some members of the task force decided that they did not want to support that because it so happens that Mr. Lonesome preferred a certain direction, and no secret, a certain political direction. And we said we did not want to follow a political direction. So he decided that he had to go his way or the highway. So he decided to go. And then we decided after a while, okay, he's going, we might as well join him and support him in Canada. Okay? And that's what we did. We just supported him in Canada. We had what is known as a conference there in Canada, and we supported him, and it went fairly well as far as I'm concerned, until the day after the event. And the day after the event, some people got together and castigated a possible member of the task force, or not the task force, and what have you. And we didn't like it. It was a lady, she was really harassed.
And I've been hearing about this lady. But nobody, the identity of the lady has been sealed, it seems like. Nobody knows. And precisely what happened. Could you just give us a minute on precisely what happened? How could this lady have such a...
confusing if you... Yes, let me explain the confusion. We had decided to start what is called the Global Diaspora Council, which was originally run by the Jamaican government. We decided to take it over physically because it was not established or as a body yet. So we decided that we would get various jurisdictions to come to be part of it. So what happened was that jurisdictions would have been the United States, Canada, the UK, right? But what happens is that Mr. Lonesome, was what I heard, Mr. Lonesome said he wanted to be the sole man in Canada. So there was a debrief done by Herb Nelson, and maybe Herb can speak for himself. And he did a debrief and said, well, you know, this cannot work or what have you. We just want to help you, not to take you, but you're in Canada, you're a jurisdiction, but we just want to help you. And apparently he refused. And it was that refusal, he got very angry. He said certain very, very angry words. We have the clip, okay? Very, very angry stuff. And then we just decided that, he'd go asunder. So we did not join again with him. And that's
okay. Call to action, and I'm gonna get into the whole money thing. Mr. Nelson, if you're available, I want to ask you this question. Was call to action an organization that you have to pay dues and so on and so forth to be a part of it? And the reason I'm asking this, I want to hear about this money and money missing and who spent money. Where are these money that was spent by this, by that, food, expensive food and all that? How all that come about? Could you just explain to our listeners where this whole money saga come from?
Let me say this to you. And call to action is a place where we all met to talk about how to effectively tackle the problem of corruption, whether it was home or abroad, right? Call to action is not a registered group. It is a WhatsApp group. The registered groups were the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, which myself and Mr. Rattigan and a friend of his was on the board. Right? He later added his boss's daughter to the board. So at no time at all were any other members of the call to action added to the board. Right? The other group that we took over was the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, which Mr. Rattigan aggressively took over, and then he didn't know what to do with it. He finally handed it off to us about a week or so ago. And then he proceeded to lambast us online, saying we didn't do anything with it. He just given it to us basically a week. And so we didn't have time to organize.
You heard that? Did you hear that? Mr. Rattigan was the one who took over the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council from the government and registered it. And Herb Nelson said he aggressively pursued that goal, that objective. And having taken it over, you know, like when you have you have somebody we call a Jamaica bad mind. They see you with something them want it, and when they get it, they don't know what to do with it. That's basically what Herb was saying. Having gotten it, he didn't do anything with it. Never did anything with it. Now that there is a separation between the band of brothers, as Rattigan called them, he then, according to Herb, handed over that organization to them, right? Because Rattigan wants to just be responsible for the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, which is what he started. So that's the only diaspora organization he's involved in. That's what Rattigan said. So he handed over the Global Jamaica Diaspora to them 1 week before, right? This interview must have been done maybe a couple nights ago, right? And you know that Rattigan's interview was done last week Saturday, so it must have been in that week. And then Rattigan came on his program and described the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council as having no organization, nothing at all, when it was he who had it all this time. This is what Herb is telling us. Now, I should tell you, I'm going to play the rest of the interview. I'm going to I have to break it up because it's very long. So I'm going to let you listen to this segment, and then I'll do another one. I'll let you listen all the way through because I think it's best when you can hear. Now, you're going to hear some things that contradicts what it is that Rattigan said. It is a matter of whether or not you believe Rattigan or you believe Rupert Francis, Captain Rupert Francis, and Herb Nelson. As I said, what you do, you put in the comments section. I'd appreciate if you put in the comments section. Let me know who you believe. And if you don't believe the other person, why you don't believe them. If you believe what you believe, that whichever one of them you think is speaking the truth, then I want to know why too. I want to start that conversation because this is incredible. But so far, I can say, and we can say, that the one thing that both sides agree on is that call to action is a WhatsApp group. It's not a registered group. It's a WhatsApp group where they plan what the next move will be. But let us continue to listen to what Herb and Rupert Francis have to say. And I do believe they are going to segue into the money side of it. And here you're going to learn something very, very interesting. So don't go away. I want you to pay very close attention to what you'll be hearing next. Let's listen.
Now, the other group, let me add, is the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention Prevention Task Force, which has been around a while and has done briefings in Jamaica to various entities. The Project STAR, which is the program between the police and the private sector, is a program I briefed 8 years ago, asking them to do that program. So you can see where a lot of things we briefed back in 2016, 17, 18. They're just implementing now.
So, what Herb told us just now about the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention Prevention Task Force, that we will shorten and call Task Force, is that it is a viable organization. It's not about money, it's about them making proposals to the government since 2016 or thereabouts, and he's saying that they are now just being implemented, which is a very excellent news for any organization. So that was just the clarity. But let us get to the money side now. I know you're impatiently waiting like myself. Let's listen.
Right? Sorry to cut you, but what I want to know, of all these organizations, which of these organizations was collecting money?
The organization that collect money, pretty much, was us individually and turn it over to OJLDF, which is Mr. Rattigan.
Did you hear that? Did you hear the question that Sutherland asked? Which one of the organizations were collecting money? And what did Herb say? Let me repeat it for you, just in case you think maybe I haven't been hearing right.
Sorry to cut you, but what I want to know, of all these organizations, which of these organizations was collecting money?
So that was the question. The question is, though, what organizations were Dennis Sutherland referring to? Well, we have, first of all, the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council that they took from the government. You have the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention Prevention, the task force. You have Call to Action. And you have the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, 4 of them that is in operation. And Dennis is asking which one of these organizations were collecting money. And let you listen to what Herb Nelson said.
The organization that collect money, pretty much, was us individually and turn it over to OJLDF, which is Mr. Rattigan.
So what Herb said is that each one of them, as members of the task force and all the other 4 organizations, the task force, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, the Call to Action, and the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, all of those persons who are members, they would be the ones to collect the money or get the donations, go out and solicit for donations. And when they got it, they handed it over to Wilfred Rattigan, because his charity, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, that was the organization that they were collecting the donations for in order to support the activities of that organization. So the money was being collected for Rattigan's organization, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, and not any of the other organizations. And that is what Herb is saying. So let's listen on and hear what else he has to say.
Right? So
I know what premise would you collect money, because you're collecting money individually. How does that?
The only premise was that we were collecting so we could fight these court cases or start court cases, right? So the issue as it stands was there was just one court case that needed to go to the appeals court level.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Rattigan was working with 2 attorneys, John and Isaac Buchanan. John was the same attorney who took wrote up the appeals for Vibes Cartel, right? And so we know these cases cost money.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I was having.
Sorry to cut you again, Herb, but I just want to bring something to the attention of the listeners. You recall that in that same program last week, Saturday, that Mr. Rattigan had Isaac Buchanan on. And I want you to remind me, because maybe I don't remember, but do you recall Mr. Rattigan asking Isaac Buchanan whether or not he had ever given him a penny for legal defense. Remember, it was said that 9,000 US was given to Isaac to defend the, well, it was a defamation case against the minister that Rattigan said defamed him. And do you recall Isaac saying that he never or didn't receive any money from Mr. Rattigan pertaining to any case that he's handling for him? Do you recall that? Well, if that was what he said, then maybe it was not to Isaac the 9,000 was paid to, assuming that the money was paid, right? It possibly was paid to John Clark, who was the one that drafted the appeal. You remember that's what Herb said? So if any money was paid, it may have been paid over to John, since he was the one that was handling the appeal and not Isaac. Anyway, let us continue to listen.
The problem I was having on the board was Mr. Rattigan outlined the makeup of the board, outlined what needed to happen, said we had an accountant, right? But at the same time, when he called a meeting, there was no agenda for the meeting published, so we could prepare for discussion. And after the meeting, there was no minutes of the meeting prepared and published either. Okay. So I don't know what he was writing down afterwards, and what I only knew when it came up in the UK and in other places that money was being paid out or whatever. I was being asked to answer these questions, and I said, no money can be paid out unless the board approved it. And as far as I knew, there was no approval on my watch. I don't know what the minutes say. I don't know anything else other than that.
Did you hear that? Herb is saying that, remember now, you know, Mr. Rattigan said there were 3 members on the board. It was himself, Rattigan, Herb, and Richard Crookson, and at some point he brought another young lady on board. They were meeting, and it was Rattigan himself, apparently, who was supposed to be keeping these minutes. Rattigan said minutes were kept, right? But Herb said he doesn't know what was written in those minutes, meaning it has never been presented to him at the next meeting, which is normal. Herb is saying also that the people in the United Kingdom started to ask questions and ask the questions of him. But he's saying that he doesn't know, he's not aware of any money being paid out of the foundation, because money cannot be paid out of the foundation without board approval. That is what he said, and he said, to his certain knowledge, when he was there, no authorization was given for the spending of any of the foundation's money. Isn't that an incredible piece of information? But let us continue to listen to see if there's anything else he says about the money side of it.
All right. So you did not personally pay in any money to any organization from your pocket? I know you spend a lot traveling all over. We know all that. But
put it this way, Dennis. I was responsible for doing investigations, and those investigations cost money. And at one point, I was almost up to $4,000 in the red out of my own pocket. Oh. So when people come and say, "Oh, well, Herb, you didn't contribute anything," I'm sorry. I put money,
your personal money in it.
Yes.
Let me ask Commissioner Joy. Commissioner Joy, is there?
I'm here.
Were you paying any money to any of these organizations exist?
Well, to be honest with you, I have. You mean you asked me if I was ever being paid?
Yeah. If you were giving money,
I paid.
You paid. Did you pay any money to any of these organizations?
Okay,
these farmed organizations.
In October 2023, when One Jamaica Legal Defense Fund came along, because I've been following, I was not I was excited and everything like that. And I do send every paycheck that I get since October last year. I make sure that I donate to OJDLF. Every paycheck, and you can go back to the records. I send in through Zelle every pay period since from October last year right up until June, because when I realized and I start to hear a little bickering here and there with my suspicion and everything, I was not a part of the group. The group itself, I've never been in the meetings or anything like that. So I didn't know who leave or who's what. I'm just a donor supporter.
I you just don't. So who were you donating money to? Who you send money to? We need to get that because money has been an issue. Who were you selling this money to? Was it an organization or individual?
It goes from my account. It says state on there, Ratigan, and the OGLD, the email that they have, that Ratigan have, that you can Zelle to. That's what it is. When it comes up, it's registered Ratigan, Wilford Ratigan. So that's who I send the money to from my account. So
now that he resigned from all these different organizations, do you have any concern about your money that you put in this?
To me, I believe, because when I look back and see what's going on and everything, especially when I went to Canada, because I never get to go to the Miami one when it first started, because that was my birthday weekend and I was traveling. Actually, I was in Jamaica the same day that it
I remember that.
Right. So I definitely said I'm not missing no more. But when I go to Canada now, and this was what made me kind of, irritating too in a way, because even at Canada, I never knew anything or knew what was going on. I just heard. So I speak to Mr. Rattigan face to face. And I asked Mr. Rattigan, how come I don't see you in the group? I'm not hearing anything from the group or anything. So how come I don't see you in the group or anything like that? So he said, I'm still in the group. I'm just, hanging in the shadows. So right there, when I hear now that Mr. Rattigan even said with his own self that he left the group from how long, Mr. Rattigan lied to me when I go to Canada. When I asked...
So you're saying when you asked Mr. Rattigan about we're talking about the call to action group, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when you asked Mr. Rattigan in Canada, how I'm not seeing you active in the group, what he told you that he is in the group, he said
he's in the group, but he's just in the shadows. That's what he said. So when I'm here now, after coming back from Canada and the whole mix up and thing like that, because I wasn't watching the show, and then I hear the whole cast and all of this thing. I was like, what is going on? What is happening here? I happened to be in that house, at Mr. Lonesome house, and I did not know. I could have been set up for all I know. I was there at Wayne Lonesome house. I was there when he was doing the live the day after the protest and everything. And I feel away. I feel bad. I'm like, so now I'm looking into everything and I'm saying, look at this. This is what's happening here. So nobody had to tell me this or whatever the case. I said, well, to my perception, no, this is not good. This is not call to action. This is not what I want to spend my hard-earned money on. And if I'm not mistaken, I am the first one to request my money back.
Oh, you request your money back?
Me request the money back.
Whoa, slow down. Go out here, so so who you request your money from?
As a matter of fact, because the Tavares Tavares, I should say, okay. Because
Yeah, come a little closer to the mic so we can hear you. Come a little closer. We can more hear with this part. So you request your money from.
When you hear the term that Tavares is Ratty's right hand man, I was the one that sent Tavares. I said to Mr. Tavares, I said, listen.
We're talking about Jeffrey Tavares, right?
Yes, yes. I said I need to request a refund for my money. So Mr. Tavares said, why are you sending it to me? I said, because you are Mr. Ratty right hand man. Because whenever I messaged Mr. Ratty or so on, he never responded. Whenever I make donations, I never get a reply to say that my donations were received. So when I get it, I screenshot my Zelle and I would post it in call to action most of the time so that people can see that I'm donating. Right. So I've never get a call back to say, well, okay, your money has been received or anything. So that's why when I request my fund through a message, I went to my bank account and I get all the Zelles that I've Zelled to Mr. Rattigan from October to June, and I sent a screenshot of it to Jeffrey to pass on the message to Mr. Rattigan because I know he will get it. I know that he will get it. And the day after I send that to him, but less
come closer. Come closer. The day after you send it to Mr. Tavares, that is Jeffrey Tavares from Make We Talk. You're talking, right?
Actually message me and say, why are you sending it? I never get this. Why are you sending it to me? And the response I said, because you are Mr. Ratty right hand. That's it. That's what I said. And,
all right. So let me ask you this. Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear. Finish.
He makes sure that Mr. Rattigan get the message. And the day after I request my refund, I get refund in my account. And it was short of $100. And I send another message. This time I send it to him and it said short of $100. And I send it to Mr. Rattigan message as well. And the $100 was there also. So I get back all my money because I am not into.
So, what gives you the right to claim back your money? What
gives me the right to claim back my money? Listen.
No, but you have given money. You have given money into an organization, an active organization that was protesting, traveling all over the place, doing their thing. I'm assuming that's what you were contributing to. So
I thought donating to an organization who is fighting for the cause, not for somebody's self-gain or for one person's self-gain. So now I can say that I don't have a problem to give to a cause like this, but the problem is that I have to see, because when I'm asking where or how much money being collected, how it's being spent or whatever, I don't see nowhere. I can go on the website and see where how much money being collected or how much money being spent or what's there. So I don't want to give in the shadows of giving to an organization like that.
Go ahead, Dr. Francis.
I just want to say that, first of all, I think, what Commissioner Doyle was very courageous, and also I want to say that we didn't get any money. I mean, nobody has got any funds or what have you, and I know there's something lurking around, which also about something back.
Now, I don't know what it was that Captain Rupert Francis was referring to when he said that he knows that there is something lurking around. I don't fully understand what he was saying. It seemed as if he was saying that nobody received any money. Nobody received any money and there is something lurking around. Now, we don't know what that is, but certainly the lady that you heard speaking, her name is Commissioner Joy B. Smith. Don't know what she's commissioner of, but she's a member of the Call to Action group. That's a WhatsApp group, right? And she was supporting Rattigan's organization, which is the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, by giving a contribution out of her salary, a donation, which she was paying from her account to the Zelle account published on Rattigan's organization's website. So that was that. So we've come to the end of this segment of the program. Let me know if you find it as interesting as I do. Certainly, we now have some clarification on the donations that were collected and who collected, where it was paid to. We also had confirmation, at least one person who was a donor, who said she had requested a refund from Rattigan and she had received every penny, and she had received every penny very quickly as well. And also we learned about the various organizations that these treacherous Jamaicans living abroad, and I say treacherous, because the thing that I have a problem with them is that demonstration, that protest. I don't have no problem. Them can talk anything them want. They're free to do so. But you see the protesting, no, me not join the church there at all. I don't know about you, but me not in that. Remember to like the video, share, and subscribe. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me, for your patience. Do take good care of yourself. Until next time, walk good.